Hey everyone, today we'll be looking into Oscar Wilde's book, The Importance of Being Earnest. I made a poll on Instagram saying if you wanted a summary, and most of you, 9 people, said yes, so it's my work to do it. I'm going to divide this video on parts. First, I'm going to introduce the character in the order they are presented. Then, I'm going to talk about Act 1, 2, and 3. Hope you like it. Postdata Denle like cuellos.
For each character, I'm going through its physical traits, personality, and details. On Act 1, Oscar Wilde presents us 5 characters. One of these is Algernon, or Algy, often portrayed as a dashing and fashionable young man with a confident and slightly rakish demeanor. In terms of personality, he is witty, charming, and indulgent. He is carefree, loves luxury, and has a sharp sense of humor. Algernon is known for his bun-burying, a practice of creating an imaginary friend, Bunbury, to escape social obligations. He is Gwendolyn's cousin and becomes interested in Cecily. We also get introduced to Lane, typically depicted as a middle-aged man with a composed and formal appearance. You can say that he is sardonic, professional, and observant. He often offers dry and humorous observations about his employer. Lane is Algernon's manservant and provides comic relief with his candid remarks. John, Jack Ernest, Worthing. John, Jack, and Ernest are the same person. His full name is John Worthing, but he goes by Jack in his country home, where he is a respectable guardian to his wand. In the city, he adopts the persona of Ernest, a carefree and morally loose bachelor. This allows him to escape the responsibilities and constraints of his country life and enjoy the pleasures of city life without tarnishing his reputation as Jack. Portrayed as a handsome, respectable-looking young man in his late 20s to early 30s. John is earnest, responsible, and slightly serious in the country as Jack. In the city, as Ernest, he is more carefree and light-hearted. Jack was found as a baby in a handbag at Victoria Station. He is the guardian of Cecily and loves Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn Fairfax. Typically depicted as an elegant and attractive young woman in her 20s, she is sophisticated, determined, and romantic. She is fixated on the name Ernest, believing it symbolizes a certain aristocratic respectability. Gwendolyn is Lady Bracknell's daughter and Algernon's cousin. She is in love with Jack, whom she knows as Ernest. Lady Bracknell is shown as an imposing, middle-aged woman with a dignified and somewhat severe appearance. Domineering, status-conscious, and pragmatic are some words that can describe her personality. She is the epitome of Victorian high society values. Lady Bracknell is very particular about social status and propriety. She is Gwendolyn's mother and fiercely protective of her social standing. Cecily Cardew is typically depicted as a charming, youthful girl with an innocent and fresh appearance, often around 18 years old. She is romantic, imaginative, and a bit rebellious, fantasizing about adventures and love. Cecily is Jack's ward and lives in the country. She becomes enamored with the idea of Ernest and falls for Algernon when he pretends to be Ernest. Miss Prism is often portrayed as a prim and proper middle-aged woman with a conservative appearance. She is strict, yet kind-hearted and sentimental. Miss Prism is intellectual and values education. She is Cecily's governess and has a past that ties into the play's plot twist. She harbors romantic feelings for Dr. Chasuble. Dr. Frederick Chasuble is typically depicted as a slightly older man with a scholarly and clerical appearance. He is verbose, genial, and somewhat absent-minded, but well-meaning and affable. Dr. Chasuble is the local rector. He is romantically interested in Miss Prism and provides comic relief through his long-winded speech. Merriman is often portrayed as a dignified, older man with a formal demeanor. He is professional and dutiful, contributing to the household's comic dynamic. Merriman is the butler at Jack's country estate, though not a central character. He adds to the overall setting and humor. No important character is presented during Act 3. After all of this characters' introductions, let's get into the story. In the lavish morning room of Algernon Moncrief's London flat, Algernon, a witty and carefree gentleman, reclines on his sofa, idly playing the piano. His butler, Lane, sets up for afternoon tea. Their conversation immediately sets the tone for the play, full of sharp banter and satirical insights into Victorian society. Algernon jests about the triviality of marriage, and Lane, with dry humor, subtly agrees, reflecting Wilde's critique of social norms. Jack Worthing, known to Algernon as Ernest, arrives. Their friendship is evident in their jovial and honest exchange. Algernon quickly confronts Jack about a mysterious cigarette case with the inscription to Uncle Jack from Little Cecily. Jack is forced to admit his double life. In the country, he is known as Jack, the guardian to his young ward, Cecily Cardew. In London, he assumes the identity of Ernest, a fictional wayward brother who provides an excuse for his absences. This revelation introduces the theme of duplicity and the facade of respectability. Their conversation is interrupted by the arrival of Gwendolen Fairfax, Algernon's cousin, and Lady Bracknell, her imposing mother. Gwendolen, elegant and self-assured, immediately captures the audience's attention. Lady Bracknell, with her domineering presence, underscores the rigid social hierarchy and the absurdity of aristocratic values. Jack, or Ernest, proposes to Gwendolen in a tender and earnest, unintended moment. Gwendolen accepts his proposal enthusiastically, primarily because she adores the name Ernest. This adds a layer of comedic irony, as Jack's assumed identity is the very reason for her affection. Their romantic exchange is cut short by Lady Bracknell's arrival, leading to an interrogation that is both rigorous and farcical. Lady Bracknell's interrogation is a masterpiece of comedic writing. She bombards Jack with questions about his finances, family background, and social standing. When Jack reveals his origins, being found as a baby in a handbag at Victoria Station, Lady Bracknell is appalled. Her rejection of Jack's proposal is rooted not in his character but in his lack of respectable lineage, highlighting the absurdity of aristocratic pretensions. The act concludes with a twist. Algernon decides to visit Jack's country estate under the guise of being Ernest, intrigued by the mention of Cecily. This sets the stage for further comedic misunderstandings and mistaken identities. In the lush garden of Jack Worthing's country house, the scene opens with Cecily Cardew sitting at a table, attempting to study German under the watchful eye of her governess, Miss Prism. However, Cecily's mind is more occupied with thoughts of Jack's wayward brother, Ernest. She's captivated by the tales Jack has told about his brother's wickedness, which only fuels her romantic imagination. Miss Prism, who is prim and proper, tries to keep Cecily focused on her lessons, but her own attention is diverted when Reverend Canon Chasuble, the local rector, arrives. There's a subtle flirtation between Miss Prism and Dr. Chasuble, adding a layer of humor and warmth to the scene. Suddenly, Algernon arrives, masquerading as Jack's fictional brother, Ernest. He is immediately charmed by Cecily's youthful innocence and beauty. Cecily, on her part, is thrilled to finally meet the infamous Ernest. She welcomes him with open arms, much to Algernon's delight. As they converse, Cecily reveals to Algernon that she has been fantasizing about Ernest for quite some time. She even goes so far as to show Algernon her diary, which is filled with imagined romantic encounters and even a proposal, to which she has already answered yes. Algernon, amused and flattered, decides to play along with Cecily's fantasies. Meanwhile, Jack returns to the country estate, dressed in mourning clothes, intending to announce the death of his fictitious brother Ernest. He is shocked and dismayed to find Algernon there, posing as Ernest and wooing Cecily. The situation becomes even more complicated when Gwendolen arrives, having come to the country to see Jack, whom she knows as Ernest. The two women, Cecily and Gwendolen, meet and quickly become friends. However, their friendship is put to the test when they both realize they are engaged to men they believe are named Ernest. This leads to a humorous and tense confrontation where Jack and Algernon are forced to come clean about their deceptions. The act ends in comedic chaos, with both women feeling deceived and both men scrambling to explain their actions. The misunderstandings, mistaken identities, and witty banter set the stage for even more hilarity in the final act. The final act is set in the drawing room of Jack's country house. The room exudes an air of elegance and Victorian decorum, a sharp contrast to the chaos about to unfold. The act opens with Gwendolen and Cecily sitting in stony silence, both feeling betrayed by their respective fiancés, Jack and Algernon. The tension in the room is palpable. Jack and Algernon enter, trying to explain their actions and win back the trust of their beloveds. Jack admits that he has been pretending to be Ernest to escape the rigid expectations of his responsibilities. Algernon, too, confesses that he assumed the identity of Ernest to court Cecily. Both men express their genuine love for Gwendolen and Cecily, but the women are not easily swayed. They insist that they were only in love with men named Ernest, a name they find irresistibly romantic. The situation takes another twist when Lady Bracknell arrives unexpectedly. She is furious to find Gwendolen in the country, and even more upset by the presence of Cecily. Lady Bracknell interrogates Cecily and is initially dismissive of her because she is unaware of Cecily's substantial inheritance. When Lady Bracknell learns of Cecily's wealth, she suddenly becomes much more accepting of the idea of Algernon marrying her. Jack, however, refuses to consent to Cecily's marriage to Algernon unless Lady Bracknell consents to his marriage to Gwendolen. This creates a deadlock, as Lady Bracknell refuses to budge on her disapproval of Jack. In a dramatic turn of events, Miss Prism enters the room. Lady Bracknell recognizes her and demands to know what she is doing in Jack's house. It is revealed that Miss Prism was once Lady Bracknell's family nursemaid and was responsible for a scandal involving a lost baby many years ago. Under intense questioning, Miss Prism confesses that she mistakenly placed the baby in a handbag and left it at Victoria Station. Jack realizes that he is that lost baby, meaning he is of noble birth and thus suitable for marriage to Gwendolen. Additionally, it is discovered that his real name is actually Ernest, fulfilling Gwendolen's romantic ideal. With all misunderstandings cleared up, the couples reconcile. Jack and Gwendolen, Algernon and Cecily, and even Dr. Chasuble and Miss Prism pair off happily. Jack, in a moment of reflective triumph, addresses Lady Bracknell. The play ends with Jack contemplating the nature of earnestness, realizing the import true to oneself. With a blend of sincerity and irony, he declares, "I've now realized for the first time in my life the importance of being earnest."